You spend 6 exhausting months carrying a massive, suffocating weight. Maybe it is a brutal, high-stakes project at work that has drained all of your mental bandwidth, or a crushing pile of financial debt you have been aggressively paying down. You sacrifice your sleep, you run on fumes, and you pour every single ounce of your energy into solving this one singular problem. Finally, you hit the deadline. You make the final payment. You step back, breathe in the quiet air, and your ego immediately tells you a deeply comforting lie. The storm is over. Now my life is stable. Now I can finally rest. But there is no finish line. Barely a week later, the phone rings. An aging parent has a sudden health scare, and you are immediately thrust into the labyrinth of managing their care, dealing with doctors, and sitting in sterile waiting rooms. 3 days after that, your company announces a major restructuring, throwing your job security into absolute chaos. You try to manage both, running on cortisol and panic, and the sheer stress causes your own body to rebel. Your sleep cycle collapses, or an old physical injury flares up. You sit in the dark at 3 a.m. The house is perfectly quiet, but your mind is deafening, and you realize you are right back in the trenches. The psychological cost here is massive. The bone-deep exhaustion you feel does not actually come from the physical work of managing a hospital visit or navigating a tense workplace. The exhaustion comes from the ego's furious, defensive realization that the crises never actually stop. We feel profoundly betrayed by this friction. We become angry at the universe because we foolishly believed we had paid our dues. We operate under the exhausting delusion that adulthood is a series of isolated emergencies to be permanently solved, rather than a continuous, heavy condition to be maintained. A man wades into a foul, stagnant swamp, holding a heavy iron sword. He operates under the exact same delusion we do when we wake up on a Saturday morning, facing a mountain of heavy obligations. He believes this is a standard, finite problem. The logic of his ego dictates a simple, satisfying transaction. You strike the problem, you kill the beast, and you get to go home, wash off the mud, and rest permanently. We know this man as Hercules, but in this moment, there is no glory. There are no marble statues or heroic songs echoing in the background. There is only an exhausted, isolated man standing knee-deep in freezing sludge, trying to survive a chaotic, violently unstable environment. He wades deeper into the muck, the cold water pulling at his heavy boots, the stench of decay thick in the air. The physical toll is already setting in before the battle even begins. He finally finds the serpent waiting in the dense reeds. He braces his footing in the sludge, grips the hilt of his weapon, and swings the heavy blade with all of his physical strength, cleanly severing one of the massive heads. The creature's gigantic body recoils violently in the water. He lowers his weapon, breathing heavily, his shoulders aching from the exertion, fully expecting the quiet silence of victory. He waits for the definitive confirmation that the job is finally done and the threat has been neutralized. But this myth serves as a dark, uncompromising psychological mirror to our own modern reality. From the bloody stump of the severed neck, the muscle and bone violently twist and split. Before the severed head has even sunk into the dark swamp water, two new, fully formed heads emerge, hissing and snapping in his direction. He is stunned, but his ego doubles down, demanding an ending. He swings again, severing another head, and again, two more violently erupt to replace it. The harder he fights, the more chaotic and dangerous the swamp becomes. He is caught in a punishing, inescapable cycle of exponential maintenance. The more he desperately tries to permanently finish the job, the more aggressively the environment demands his physical and mental energy. He is completely exhausted. He is covered in the cold, foul mud of the swamp, his muscles burning, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Every single violent swing of the sword intended to bring him closer to peace only multiplies the chaos around him. He is forced into the brutal, undeniable realization that the old rules of combat simply do not apply here. The fundamental idea that you can just permanently solve a problem, dust off your hands, and walk away is a complete illusion. He cannot kill the environment. He cannot slay the very nature of the swamp. As long as he stands in the water, expecting a final glorious victory, he will be crushed by the endless regeneration of the beast. The Hydra is not an enemy that can be defeated. It is a relentless condition of the environment that must simply be managed. And until he accepts that the work will never actually be finished, the swamp will continue to break his mind long before it breaks his body. This is where we must carefully analyze the trap the ego sets for us every single day. The Hydra is not a literal monster lurking in a distant mythical past. It is the physical world you inhabit right now. It is the heavy monthly weight of the mortgage. It is the fragile health of the people you love. It is the sudden volatility of your career. It is the complex, unending demands of simply keeping your life structurally intact. The human ego desperately wants to treat life like a singular enemy to be finally slain. We operate under the Arrival Fallacy, the deeply ingrained protective belief that if we just work hard enough through this current crisis, if we just spend enough money to finally stabilize the infrastructure of our lives, the Hydra will die, and we will be granted a state of permanent, uninterrupted peace. We believe that a flawless, static existence is our default state, and that our current stress is just a temporary roadblock keeping us from our rightful rest. But the physical world exists in a constant, uncompromising state of entropy. Everything degrades. Everything requires constant, daily energy just to maintain its current form. The very moment you stabilize your finances, a health crisis emerges. The moment your career feels secure, a relationship demands heavy emotional labor. The breakdown occurs because our ego outright refuses to accept this basic mechanical law of reality. We expect the universe to be still, and we are outraged when it moves. Our profound suffering does not actually come from the work itself. We are entirely capable of making the payments, sitting in the hospital waiting rooms, and navigating the difficult friction of modern existence. We are exhausted by our intense psychological resistance to the work. We stand in our own modern swamps, covered in the mud of our daily obligations, screaming at the Hydra to stop growing heads. And when it inevitably does, when the massive career project ends, only to be replaced by a sudden family emergency, we take it as a profound personal insult from the universe. We feel deeply cheated by the very nature of existence. We view friction as an unfair interruption to our lives, rather than recognizing the cold truth that friction is the life. The ego demands an ending that reality simply cannot provide. We burn out because we are trying to win a game of permanent completion in a universe fundamentally defined by constant decay and regeneration. As long as you believe that surviving this current crisis will eventually lead to a day where there are no more crises, you will remain trapped in a state of perpetual frustration. The shift available to you is entirely internal, and it starts tomorrow morning. You must stop swinging the blade with the desperate, exhausting hope that it will be your final strike. You must let go of the illusion of an ending. Peace is not found in the total absence of the swamp. It is found in the quiet resolve with which you stand in the water. You will never permanently slay the beast. The house will never be fully secure. The crises will never stop forming, and the friction will always remain. But the moment you stop demanding that the world remain still, the exhaustion begins to fade. Peace is an internal rhythm, a steady acceptance of the work. You stop fighting the Hydra to end the world, and you start swinging the blade simply to maintain your place within it. You accept, right now, that you are participating in a continuous condition, not a finite project. The chaos loses its power over you when you discard the arrival fallacy. The swamp remains, the heads continue to multiply, but the panic completely disappears. You do not demand a finish line. You simply wake up, feel the weight of the sword in your hand, and quietly meet the world exactly as it is today.